Hello once again. So, if you know this channel, you know that I am the indisputable opinion on trading card games. It is a well-known fact. Don't look it up. Just trust me. And if you've been following some creators who like trading card games, like me, you'll notice that some of them are talking about Argent Saga. So, this is kind of what it's about. Basically, Ultra Reality Games, which is actually just a brick and mortar store in, I think, Ohio, they decided, you know what, let's make our own card game. And if that sounds familiar to you, it's because Ultra Reality Games, ARG, the ARG circuit, etc., you see their name kind of everywhere with tournaments and stuff, and so they have some credibility when it comes to trading card games. So when I heard that they're gonna make a trading card game, I'm like, okay, you know what, gonna look at it, gonna look into it. Not gonna make any promises. And so they sent me some things. They emailed me saying, hey, please tell everyone about the Kickstarter that we're doing, because they're literally just they're not a big company. They're a privately owned ARG brick and mortar store. So finding the funding in order to create a card game is next to impossible. So they have a Kickstarter. If you're interested in this, if you want to support them, then there's a link to the Kickstarter in the description below. But if you're not sure if you want to support them, that's what this video is about, and I'm going to show you what I think about the trading card game so far. So they sent me this 2-player playmat. It's super soft, and it even has a little thing in the corner that says content creator. I like that. That's cute. I appreciate that, especially since they didn't use the term influencer, because they know that we don't like being called influencers because it sounds so disingenuous. Let us look at everything else. They sent me the alpha demo decks, this is basically like a test print run. These aren't on the correct card stock that they're planning to use. At least I'm almost certain it's not. And this is the 5 starter decks, basically. And I'm going to be opening these up and showing you everything. And that's also why some of these don't have color, because it's just it says alpha demo deck. Like, they have the actual artwork, but they wanted to be a bit more unique, so they made it to where some of them is just the sketch along with the base color. That's not really the base color, but I don't know what the term is for it. I know what they're doing. I know what the artist is doing by making it all gray, because I do that too. It's supposed to make it to where you can select all of it easier and change the coloring. Fun fact for you. But we're actually not going to start off with this. What we're going to start off with me giving you a quick idea about how the game is played, and to do that, I need to show you this. This is the setup for the game. This is just something that they printed out for me so that I can tell you guys how it works. You also have, a quick start guide. You can find the quick start guide on their website. It's no big deal. But basically, you have 5 spots for your units, monsters, creatures, etc. Sounds very Yu-Gi-Oh-esque. You have 5 towers, which is basically, if I'm correct, your life. Basically, you destroy all of your opponent's towers, and then you attack once more in order to win the game. And each tower will have an effect so that it helps balance out the game. If you have 4 towers destroyed, chances are 1 tower destroyed one of your opponent's units. Another tower made your opponent discard a card. Another tower did something for you. You searched for a card through your deck. So it's a way to help balance the game while also showing you, hey, you're next to dying. You have your champion, and this is kind of like your commander, for lack of a better term, your ruler, for any of you who play Force of Will. A spirit, which is basically like a secondary ruler, secondary commander. I'm not sure about the full possibilities mechanically that comes with there being a spirit, but I'll show you the cards in a second. You have your deck, your shard deck, which is basically your magic stones, your mana, your money for paying for cards. And, they did the smart thing and separated it, because that's how it should be done. Ever since Force of Will did it, everyone just kind of went, you know what, that's a really good way of doing it, and it works really well, and a lot of people like it. And then you have your discard zone. Augments, I haven't actually read up on. I don't know yet. So let me show you guys the Hoenna Immoral Conjurer starter deck, because if I get the starter deck, I'm going to get this one because it's a witch, and I like witches. And witches are cool. Whether it is the old satanic idea of witches, or if it's the newer Wicca kind of witches, I like witches. I think they're cool. So you have I have some gripes with the frame. Overall, I like the frame. I like the textures that they put with it. I like the layout of everything. And they do have full art cards. They do have full arts. They're more of a promotional thing right now, so they were smart and made that a thing because everyone knows full arts are where it's at now, except for Konami. Like, they just haven't caught up, and I don't know why. So this is your champion. This is the quote-unquote commander/ruler, and the one gripe I have is that it's just his champion below it. They should probably have like a little swoosh here to separate it, like another texture overlaying it, like they have with the name. I think it's just kind of strange how they have it just like typed on here. But this is when you destroy a tower or unit, so a tower or a creature. In battle, place 1 counter on this card, remove 3 counters from this card, put into play a golem token unit with 1500 attack. I'm not sure what term they use for it, but I'm just going to say attack. And this is the spirit. And I'm guessing the idea is that you can augment, you can change spirits up, because it doesn't say that it has to go with this specific champion. So there is some customizability that comes with there being a separation between the champion and spirit. This one says when you destroy a tower or unit in battle, place 1 counter on this card. During your turn, remove 3 counters from this card, your opponent discards 1 card. During your turn, Soul Burst, which is flip this card face down, your opponent discards 1 card. Not sure how Soul Burst works in the game, I'm not sure when you flip it back up. Also, here's the back, in case any of you were wondering. This is how the back looks. I think the back looks pretty solid. It is slick, it looks very magical. If you ask me, it really delivers on that sense of fantasy that we're looking for. Now we're looking at the spells, and this is where I start having a gripe with the frame, because it's very difficult to easily see the difference between the champion versus the spirit versus the spell versus the unit versus the tower. They all kind of share the same frame, and with very little distinction between them. Which doesn't need to be ridiculous how they make them distinct. I mean, like having a spell to where the stripe banner, I think that's a more technical term, the banner that tells you the name. If they just have it to where it's concave instead of convex, that'd work. That's all I'm asking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are more of the finalized designs, so not sure if they're really going to change anything. So we have Instacast, which is their term for quick cast, or not flash. What do they call it? Instant. You can play this card only if you control a dark unit. Target unit gets minus 2,500 this turn. So this is something you use on your opponent. This is the cost in order to pay for it. It's 2 shards. And you can tell that they don't have a specified coloring system. It's just the shards are shards. They're the same. They produce 1 so that you can pay for them. And this is just, this is only for the alpha demo deck where they only made it to where 1 part is colored. And what's fun is that they have the towers in the back and they all have different colors. Like when it says when this card is destroyed, you can draw 2 cards. Tower of Light, when this card is destroyed, you can put it into play a Knight token with Guardian, and each one has its own ability. I'm not sure what the numbers at the top mean, so I'm gonna have to read up on that. Tower of Air, and then Uncertain Experiment, another spell. I'm not gonna go through every single card. Let's look at one of the units. Here's a unit. Let's look at a unit that's, has color. Do we have anything that has actual color, or did they just make it all black and white for the sake of the alpha demo deck? I think it's all black and white. Well, let's look at this one. Golem of Jealousy. So you can see that this is the cost, this is the faction color, whatever term they're using for this. This is the darkness one. And this is the attack, and it's basically very simple. It works like Yu-Gi-Oh! If you have a higher attack, it destroys the opposing unit, the opposing monster. There is no defense, as with some other card games, which is a little unique for this game. You have seen other card games that do that, but just having a blank number for it makes it a lot easier. And if to attack, you do turn it sideways. And when you are in combat phase and you want to you choose to either attack a tower or a tapped unit. So there is a risk to attacking, and that adds more balance to it. And they all have their own keywords, like with arrive when it enters the field. If you control another golem unit, draw a card. So it synergizes with itself. And I like it. Oh, hey, look, there's one with color. So far, I think they have a solid foundation for a game. If you know what you're doing A game can probably be like 20 minutes. The game, Argent Saga, is supposed to be very easy to pick up, very easy to learn, very easy to get going. And their goal is to react quickly with the community. If there's a problem, they can fix it because they don't have as many restrictions as a company would. But the downside is that it's harder for them to get funding for this kind of thing. So there's pluses and minuses to what they're trying to do. Now, that being said, they did send me some promotional material that I'm guessing they want me to give to my local game store and such. What I'm curious about is that they plan their expansions. So here is the poster with that gorgeous artwork. I actually love how that looks. She looks really good. I mean, just the colors, the way the lights are reflecting off her chin from the back. As an artist, this is some solid work right here. Oh, they even have they incorporated the shard artwork, the already established artwork assets into this one to make it a little bit more unique, and they did it in a way that's not lazy. It makes sense. And this is what actually makes me surprised, because it says here that their expansion, their set, they're hoping for it to come out August, and I'm like, that is ambitious. They only started the Kickstarter. They only have, like, what, 25 days as of the recording of this video? So even less time as of when I'm going to publish this video. And that is just the poster. This is a release event for August 1st. They have an exclusive full art card, as you can see here. Let's get a better look at that. It's hard to see, but they do have full art cards. It's cards that are exclusive to events to incentivize people going to them. They have, what is this? The Betrayal pre-release? Okay, so I guess this is the pre-release. What is the release event versus the pre-release event? July. Oh, okay. So they actually plan to release it the 1st. So they have two different events, a pre-release and a release event. Haven't seen that before. The 26th through the 28th of July, along with exclusive cards. And then you have the 10 decks. And I do know that the decks are going to have foils. So they at least have that going, good thing. Because if you look at the cards that they sent me, you can see a bit of texturing that's on them. It's probably going to be hard for me to get in this light, but you can see that the texturing goes all across it, and that's just because it's this kind of material, this canvasy kind of material is more for testing, test prints than anything. For, alpha, not the beta, not the final, but for when you're just trying to get things out, when you're trying to see the colors, how they look. Because the color on the computer doesn't match the color when it's printed all the time. And here we have an actual list of everything that's going to be in the starter decks, and you can actually see the full colors of what's in what I have right next to me right now. This is the retailer sales sheet. It's going to show you like what's in the display box, 5 different decks, 3 foils per deck. It's where I know I can tell you that there's going to be foil cards. The booster set, 127 cards in the set, so it's a kind of a small set, which is understandable. It's their first set. Make it safe, make it simple. Only have enough to where it's fun. 60 foil variants of common cards, 5 box topper cards. 9 serial cards numbered 1 through 1000. Not sure what that means. 1 redemption card, I'm guessing that's like the secret rare. It also tells you the prices, what they're selling it for, etc., etc. And here we have, this is the one that actually threw me off, because I haven't really seen this before. This is an expansion pack. It's not a booster pack. It's not a starter deck. It's an expansion pack. It's its own kind of thing, as far as I can tell. They haven't actually told me anything about this. Enhance any existing Argent Saga deck with 15 never-before-seen cards, 5 full art tower guardians, and 5 champions. Expansion pack Generations contains 1 of each card. Guaranteed. Look out for random premium packs containing foil variants. So it's supposed to be more like sort of an LCG approach, like a living card game where you're guaranteed specific cards, but they also have some randomness to it, some randomness, so that there's some foils, so that there's some chase cards. But you're always guaranteed what you need from this expansion. I think that's neat. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. I like the concept. I think they're probably going to test it out and see if it'll stick, see if it works better, and then pick whichever one the community likes the most. Now, they do have a website, and that's where I found a lot of this information. They have a series of videos that teaches you how to play the game, and it's done by Forcible Ruler School. So hey, but that's technically all I have to actually show you, and this is the point where you would decide whether or not you want to support their Kickstarter. Chances are, it seems, given by what they've given me, it seems like they're going to be much more in tune with the community and supporting content creators that can give you content and tell you and inform you about things that are going on with the game. So that's going to be cool, and I like to jump into these things early, so if this does kick off, then chances are I'm going to be dipping my toe into it much more than I am now. Since we have, 4 other decks to kind of gaze through, let's do a quick rundown of the decks. Let's look at the light deck really quick. This is also probably going to be useful for you guys for when the starter decks come out. You already have a good idea about what you're going to get. So, Liam, Trader of Knights. Champion, when you destroy an opponent's tower, you can add 1 gear from your deck to your hand. Right, this whole deck is based around equipment. Once per turn, discard 1 gear from your hand. Target unit gets 500, plus 500 per turn. I feel like there should be a word after that, but that's just I'm used to, every other card game. But technically, they don't need to. There's only 1 number on the card, so. The spirit is Sola, the light spirit, and at the end of your turn, you can switch 1 of your exhausted units to active. And it can Soul Burst, which turns it face down, put into play a Knight unit token with Guardian. Now we get to see some of the units. One with quickness, so this unit can attack or activate exhaust abilities the turn it's played, and an enter ability, or an arrive ability. You can sacrifice a gear you control to destroy a target unit your opponent controls, and you'll see that a lot of them, it's mostly just working off of gears. Target 1 gear in your discard zone, equip it to this card. Corum Blade Master, we have Corum Craftsman. I actually kind of like the aesthetic of the light deck, and I don't like light. Just in terms of the fantasy aspect to it, usually it's much more religiously backed with a lot of the depictions, and so I've always strayed away from it. But this one, knights are cool. Crest, the blacksmith kind of reminded me of Dark Souls, which is why I'm like, ooh. Now this is another reason that I have a gripe with the frame, because like this, you look at it, if you're just going, oh, I gotta glaze through my hand real quick, I need a spell, little do you know, this is a spell, and it doesn't really look like a spell, and that's the biggest issue with it. There's no very clear identifier that says, oh yeah, that's a spell. I mean, you do have this little thing in the corner here that you do have a difference in the symbols at the very top, and I think that's what they were going for, but let's get a really good zoom in. They are different, but they aren't different enough to where I would notice that off the bat. And that's where the biggest problem comes from. And if they really don't want to invest the time in changing the frame, the easiest way to make the spells very different from the units is just not make it to where the center of the artwork is a person. Just have it to where the majority of this is the slash. Make it to where the slash covers the majority of it, and have it to where there's like a silhouette of a person that's doing the action in the corner, in the distance. So some art direction tips if I was doing it, but I'm not, so this is really just my gripes. Ooh, Lucient Guardian of Vigilance. Oh man, there's the boss monster. And I kind of like how they made it to where, here's the sketches, they made it to where these are unique, to where these are kind of collectible. I don't think these are going to be able to be used in official decks when the game is actually released, and you have all the towers. Let's look at the red flame mean deck. We have Dragon Holt the Dracoborg, a champion, exhaust, you tap it, pay 1 of your shards, discard 1 fire unit from your hand, add 1 non-legendary dragon unit from your deck to your hand. And you have Corona the Fire Spirit. And it says, once per turn, during your turn, discard 1 fire unit from your hand and deal 500 damage to target unit. Okay. And during your turn, flip this card face down. Target unit gains quickness this turn. That's very simple. I like how they keep the spirits simple, but they are very diverse in their mechanics to where it makes it to where they all feel different. Booster Dragon. Booster! When it arrives, target unit gets 1,000. Yep, bunch of buffs. Ooh, Deranged Dragon. What did it mean by, what did it say? A legendary dragon? Where's the legendary dragon? And I'm gonna, pause on these for a second so that you can read them on your own time if you really want to. Draconic Destroyer. How do you tell if it's a legend? How do you tell if it's a legend? Enraged Dragon. 3 of those. Exploding Dragon. Imbued by Fire, an Instacast. You have a Juvenile Dragon. Still haven't seen any legendary things. Mech Dragon's Flame. Rayo Dragon Tamer. You have a Soulfire Dragon. That's straight up just a sketch. That's not what I expected. The Vehement Crimson Guardian. That looks like it'd have been oh, Vengeful Dragon. Cost 2 less to play. Where's the legendary? I haven't. None of these have, from what I've seen. I could just be missing it. I'm going through these fast. I haven't seen any legendary because it says add 1 non-legendary. They probably just don't have the legendary mechanic in this deck. It sounds like legendary is going to work off the same as like unique in other card games, where you can only have one in the deck. You have Jamail Cryptic Caster. Champion, place 1 counter on this card for each water unit that comes into play on your field. Remove 3 counters, draw 2 cards, then discard 1 card. Okay. Fizzy the Water Spirit. Once per turn, during your turn, shard drain 1, which means return 1 of your shards to the bottom of your shard deck to draw 1 card. Ooh, I'm not sure I like that. During your turn, Soul Burst to draw a card. You have the Azure Guardian, a 2-drop, so we have more of the watery depths. Azure Seer, which actually looks really cool. You have Cryptic Deflection, it's an instacast. We have Force Blast. We have Great Stormfish. Still waiting to see a legendary archetype. We have Yakuma, Mist Mage? Maybe? Yakuma Silencer? I'm gonna go with Yakuma. Yakuma Storm Knight. We have Mayu's Assistant. We have Phantasmal Guardians. We have Shard Hoarder. We have Shards of Winter. We have Stormcaster of Azure Tower. Oh my gosh, you get him in the starter deck. That's interesting. I follow you on Twitter. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but you know, if you do know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Go follow their Twitter. You'll probably find out why this card is unique. Stormfish. Get 3 of those, and then you have the rest, and the rest are all the same. Aten Exiled Prince. A champion, once per turn, pay 1 and sacrifice a unit you control. Put into play 1 air unit from your hand, whose cost is 1 greater than the unit destroyed. And you have Kite the Air Spirit. Once per turn, during your turn, discard 1 card, return target air unit you control to its owner's hand, and if you do, switch 1 of your exhausted shards to active. And you can Soul Burst to return target unit with cost 3 or less to its owner's hand. So a lot of bounce. Makes sense, it's air, you know, jumping up and down. We have Ariana, the Young Prodigy. When she enters the field, search your deck for a card named with Kala in its name and add that to your hand. Pay 1, return this to its owner's hand. It's good. You get 3 of her. You have Great Hawk of Cloudsea. You get 4 of those. You have Kala. Oh, it's a koala. It's Kala the koala. Yep, that's yep. You have Royal Reflection. I get the feeling air is going to be a bit powerful with the bouncing. The returning the shards is going to be difficult for me to get around. That's probably like the best way to balance it. Like it has to have a good cost, a really crippling cost if you're going to really abuse the bouncing. Skytree Battlecruiser. We have Skytree Blockade Ship, so a bunch of sky ships. Those are cool. Skytree Dragon. Have some Skytree Sand Ship. Whoop, whoop. We have Tornado Shot for a spell. And we have the towers again. So that's all the starter decks. I know I went through them fast, but I didn't want to bore you guys with that. That's only for the people who really wanted to know what's inside the decks. I wanted to read all of them. And so that's Argent Saga. So if you guys are interested, there's a Kickstarter. I did this just because it seems cool. It seems curious. I like new card games, and I like it when there's a small. I like it when the small guy is trying to do what the big guys are doing, and chances are they have the credibility. You know, you see their names everywhere. I like it. So links are in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay beautiful and keep playing.